Hey, brother sewing and crafting family, how are you today? So, I'm Angela Wolf, and
I'm Flaum.
and we are here for a really fun crafting day. I'm so excited. May, I've missed you. It's been almost a whole month, and you know what? My ScanNCut I have been using so much thanks to all of your tutorials. That's all I got to say to start this off. I have learned so much from you that I can hardly wait for today's show. So, what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. So I am kind of transitioning into it's a different mode of crafting for me in October and November. Some of it's gift making or decor for the holidays, especially this year, since I think I'm going to spend extra time at home. I'm going to want to, have everything really nice. But I kind of transition into less projects, say for my scrapbook or cards or things, and more into giftables and decor stuff. So one of my obsessions right now is actually using the ScanNCut to cut felt. So I know we get questions about that a lot. So today I thought we would talk about felt and the ScanNCut and all of the fun things that we can make.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be wonderful. And you know what? That question has come up so much. Even the last few weeks when we've had some of the educators on doing different things, they want to know, does the ScanNCut cut fabric? What does it cut? How does it cut? And felt is something that's so easy to do projects with. Projects or especially, well, I always, whenever Thanksgiving comes around, I always have little felt projects all over the table. And then sometimes I save it for next year. Sometimes it hits the trash. It just depends how well it turned out. But this is going to be excellent.
It is. And you know what? And it's so much fun. So I thought what we would do, we'll do a couple things. First, we're going to do a little sidebar before we get into the felt, because this is something that's new to me and that's been so much fun. And I just can't, I want more hours in the day than I currently have. Oh, not those. I got to see, I brought the fabric scissors down today.
Oh.
And I'm pretty sure everybody on here knows, the difference between the fabric scissors and the scissors for everything else. These scissors never touch paper. They never touch any of my other materials because we need them super, super sharp for our fabric. And it's so funny because I'm such a footloose and fancy-free crafter in absolutely everything except one thing, and everybody in the house knows it: the fabric scissors. Don't mess with my fabric scissors, because the difference a good pair of scissors makes when you're cutting.
So does my husband. He just came and actually took one of my nice pair of scissors last week. I won't say the brand because it's not a brother brand, but I will tell you he took them because he wanted to use them for fishing and tying little lines, and so they're officially his.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, that's generally speaking, they hide in a drawer underneath the sewing machine. Generally speaking, all of these just the general scissors that whoever wants to use them can use are out. So what I am doing right now, I am cutting with different scissors. I'm cutting a piece. So this ties into our felt because when I'm working with felt or fabric and I want to use the ScanNCut, either there is a fancy new fabric mat. I haven't gotten my hands on it yet, but there is one. Either I want to use a very strong fabric mat to hold everybody super, super in place, or I might want to put the Fusible Interfacing or iron-on material of some sort. I might want to put something like that on it because it depends on what I'm doing. Am I going to go and then, want to iron it on to, say, my shirt and sew or applique and do stuff that I would want to have that extra stabilization? What am I doing? Am I putting it, like you said, putting little felt bits and pieces on the table where, no, I just want everything loose? What am I trying to do will kind of determine how I back that. So this is just plain cream colored cotton fabric. This is actually, usually I would use this for machine embroidery. So this is, it's adhesive. I don't need the iron because I did not want to bring the iron downstairs today.
So like an adhesive, like sticky back stabilizer type?
Right. So this is a sticky back stabilizer. It tears away. Usually on the machine, I would embroider and then you could tear it all the way around the edge of the pattern away. But what I'm doing is just pressing it onto my plain fabric here. because now I've got stabilizer on this piece of fabric, and you can see the difference between, here's the edge where it's not on versus how much more firm it is where we've pressed that on there. So I'm actually not going to cut this fabric. I'm going to show you guys, and here I've got just a standard mat. I'm going to show you guys my newest obsession first. And this is a really fun one to do, especially if you're going to have time around the holidays. I'm just going to press it onto a standard mat with the stabilizer side down. Okay, and then if we go over to the ScanNCut here, I'm just going to insert my mat.
I'll bring this up for you. All three of us.
Okay, so here's my mat. So this is where it gets super, super fun. I know, as I transition this time of year, I'm just like, all the projects bubble up. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but this time of year, I get all excited and I want to do all the projects. So this is a pencil, and I actually haven't tried this pencil yet. I usually use an erasable ink. But this is a pencil that I want to put in here. The problem is it's too skinny. So check this out. Same holder. I took the pencil and wrapped some, actually it's Brother washi tape around it. So now when I put it in, oops, I need to make sure it's loose. So you can, when you move it, you can move it all the way loose.
That is a great idea. What an easy tip. I love that.
This is the universal pen holder, which is exactly what it sounds like. So now that pencil will hold there, and we're going to test this out because this is, you never know, right? When we always have to test stuff out. That's when people ask me, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, you're going to test it out. So I took the blade out and put the pencil in, and then we're just going to pick a simple pattern. Oh, let's see, or maybe not. Well, let's see. What do we got? We got lots of different patterns. We could pick, let's pick the tree, because that's fun. Okay, and I'm going to pick both. Okay, and 4 inches, that's fine. And then I'm going to center it here. So, and then I'm going to say, okay, this is so simple, and you're going to love this. So then I'm going to draw. Instead of cut, I'm telling it to draw. And start. So it's going to draw with my pencil, and I'm going to explain, like, well, May, why are you drawing on fabric? Because I've been doing hand embroideries. So I've been drawing my pattern on the ScanNCut and then putting it into my embroidery hoop and embroidering designs, and it's without having to purchase a pattern because my ScanNCut is the pattern.
I love that. Right?
Isn't that fun? So
I
this
love that.
actually, I have a video, and I'll post a link to it today on my Facebook page. But this is a video I did before, and this got me so addicted that I keep doing it. So now, and it does work. Okay, that's good to know. This is supposed to be for drawing on fabric, erasable pencil. I just hadn't tried it yet. So now I have an outline, and now I can do all my embroidery fun, hand embroidery, while I'm, I don't know, watching football or pretending to watch football, but I wish I had something else to do. So then we can draw, or we have our drawn design, and then we can just do embroidery. Isn't that fun for hand embroidery?
Oh my gosh. Everybody's saying, what a great idea. That is really.
I didn't want to do a whole show on it because obviously the hand embroidery is time consuming. Anybody who's done it knows it's a lot of fun, but it's a little time consuming to watch someone stitch and stitch and stitch. But I wanted to show you guys this because this is the time of year that this is perfect for the ScanNCut. This guy, I'm actually thinking I want to make a little zipper tote, and I swear all of this will make sense to you because next, so this is a little zipper bag I made. I'm very proud of myself because I'm getting better. I'm still not great at it, but I'm getting better.
That's cute.
But I've been thinking I would make people zipper totes for gifts this year, or put the gift inside the tote, or the little bag. Idea. So this is why I said I promise this all will tie together. This is going to get hand embroidered, and then we'll tear away as much of the sticky stabilizer as we can. And then it will become either a patch or like a section. Maybe I'll make like a quilted zipper bag out of it. So that's the tie together. May, what's going on in your brain? Lots of things, but it all goes together. So this is vinyl, heat transfer vinyl cut with the ScanNCut, and a felt heart cut with the ScanNCut that I put them together and did all the wacky embellishing, and then I stitched it onto the front fabric, which I then turned into a little zipper tote, little bag.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I could see putting a monogram in the middle of that.
Right?
I mean,
there's so much possibility. Oh my goodness. I get so super excited about my, and I'll show you just because it's super cute. So I'll show you guys. So this, I actually have a vision here. And that is, I got this little Christmas tree fabric.
Oh, yes.
And I'm thinking like pinks and minty greens, and it'll be so fun. Oh, it'll just be so fun. So if we get into, so now that we're there, right? We've got, okay, we can do this. Now we can cut, now I'm going to cut our felt. So with the felt, I like to, it depends on what I'm doing with it, but I will tell you the felt varies. So the felt, sometimes with the felt, and it's funny because it's not always, sometimes the really inexpensive is like super, super starched and almost not paper-like, but it's like really, really starched and it cuts really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the really nice, expensive felt is like really like the fibers are very loose and they kind of fluff off and it's more difficult to cut. So my solution is I don't try to keep track. I don't try to remember, is this the nice felt? Is this, is this the really inexpensive stuff to the, when you feel it? Mm-hmm. The really inexpensive stuff, it feels very starched and not nice like the wool felts that are more expensive feel. So my solution is basically I always back my felt with something. That way, unless I absolutely know this is, I'm doing my table decor that I intend to, toss out after Thanksgiving, and I know I have the, 25-cent sheet felt that's super starched, not going to be a problem. So I do that because it stabilizes it. And I always say, I always want to work with my ScanNCut for best success. I don't want to set myself up so that it's like 50-50. Will this work or won't it? I want to have a good cut the first time. I want to have success the first time. So I always put something on the back because number one, a lot of times it helps with my cuts. And number two, once I've cut this felt piece, even if I want to go and do paper crafting, it doesn't hurt to have that iron-on or whatever kind of backing you have. It doesn't hurt. In fact, sometimes it makes it easier to glue. If you're going to be gluing, say, onto a paper craft project, it's actually easier to glue the felt if it's got something on the back. So,
So just there was one quick question before you moved on, because this, Ibby wanted to know, how will you hand embroider with the sticky back on?
Yeah, so that's an embroidery stabilizer.
Yeah.
So it's embroidery stabilizer that's actually designed specifically for that. That's why I put that on versus an iron-on fusible webbing or something that's really made to like be an adhesive. This is actually made for that. And then when you're done and you go to remove it, it actually tears. So you can you'll tear away all around the outside, but it actually makes it easier because you don't have as much puckering. It's the same kind of like as the machine where you don't want it to like pucker up and all the stitches get to overwhelm. This is a very thin fabric. So that really helps keep everybody, stable, right? Just like
yes. And that was a great question because, it is. Somebody who hasn't used that might not know that.
It is. So let's see. Here we've got a pink. I've got a bunch of sheets because I thought we'll play and we'll have some fun and I'll show you a couple different things.
I'll bring up your ScanNCut and there we go.
Okay, so I've got my felt and I don't anticipate a problem because this is a fairly new mat. You can see I'm kind of rubbing my felt down on here. It's a pretty new mat. I don't think anything's actually been cut all the way through this one. So because I know it's a really new mat, it should be super sticky. I'm not going to worry about it, but I am going to keep my eye as this cuts to see if I need any extra stabilization or anything like that versus going and getting a new mat. So let's cut, and let's see, we'll cut there's so many, we have so many options, so many fun things. Oh, actually, I want to cut a heart out of this one because I have an idea for this one. And that way I won't be wasting felt. We'll be using it for future videos and projects. I always love that.
No wasting, no wasting.
I try really hard to not waste. Okay, so I'll just say about 5 inches. I think that should be good. Okay, and then I need to put so the blade, it's so easy. It just drops right in there, and then this little piece just lifts and lowers. Okay, and then I'm wondering, will you guys see it better if no, it's worse if I go down. Okay.
Yeah, we see it better that way.
So I'm just going to move it over here because I know I put my material over on this side. And I'm going to cut. Now, I tend to do more simple shapes with felt because I'm tending to use them as a building block for my stitches and my beads and my other fun stuff. Okay, so I have half cut on, which is because I was cutting vinyl. Half cut would cut halfway through, which would really not help us here. We want it to cut all the way through. So we just tell it to turn that off and start. And it should, and I keep my finger close to the pause if I'm cutting the material in a mat and I'm not 100% sure that the material is gonna hold steady. It should, yep, it should, but oops.
And you know, while you're doing that, there was a couple great questions there because like Arnell wanted to know, hey, do you have to tape it down every once in a while? So
this is a really dense, heavy felt. And I'll show you. It started, and you see my fingers in there because I just, freeze. So it started to lift up. And if you're like, well, May, why didn't you just put it down in the first place? And the reason is because, guys, I know this happens to us all. So I wanted to show you what happens in real life, right? What really happens when this happens. So I shouldn't have to, we'll try it. I shouldn't have to actually move the felt because it just barely started to lift and I stopped it. But if that happens, what it means is, and you know, there are some materials, so I cut thermoplastics and some different plastic materials that they're just too heavy. They're just too much weight. And if that happens,
there goes your answer, Arnell.
Here you go.
That's perfect. And I'm reading some of your other comments too. So while I'm watching her, I have to admit, I just had a piece of chocolate. I couldn't resist. So while she's doing that, I want to just point out though, if you have the fabric mat, don't forget you don't want to put a backing on it because I know some people do have that mat. And I know she mentioned it, but I want to say a double whammy on that. Don't put a backing on your fabric, just fabric. And Arnell says, thank you, by the way, for explaining the tape.
Yep, and so there are some materials I usually start felt on its own because it depends on the felt. Like some of the felts are a little heavier in weight or a little more. Now I didn't put it all the way down here at the bottom because I only intend to cut up here. So then I'll just put the mat back in. And this is so handy. They let me take one of these rolls from a demo years ago, and I tell you what, that's the handiest thing to have. If you had like a masking tape, that should work fine as well. So we should be okay, but I'm going to just move us down and over.
I might have you move the screen just a little bit more towards, move the ScanNCut.
We need to go this way.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. So I moved it off just a little just because I want to be absolutely sure. It was probably okay, but I want to be absolutely sure that it's okay. Okay, and everybody's pressed down. This can also be true if you've got a mat that you've already cut a bunch of things on. Sometimes it can really help to just go ahead and put that. You've got a heavy material and you've got a mat that's already been used a bunch, but it's still a good mat. That can just kind of help ensure that nothing gets caught up or wiggles around on you. Now I'm pretty sure, yep, so it's going to go back. Oh, no, it says it cut all the way through the first time. Let's see.
All right.
So I check. I always, before I lift anything off, I do a check. And yes, indeed, we've got our.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
And you can see it's all nice. And if I had anything more to cut from this, in fact, we'll cut one more thing just because we've got it all there.
So while she's getting that ready to cut, you can see her cutting and you can see the ScanNCut. I'm going to answer it. So Pam, if you're looking for accessories for your ScanNCut, call your local brother dealer. They have all of these, the mats, even the pen holders, all that extra stuff, and some of the new stuff that came out this year, which is really cool. And thanks everyone. I can see you all mentioning about my top. I finished it and I even hemmed it right before the show today. May, that's the big joke, because I never hem them right before the show because I don't have time, but I even hemmed this one today.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm just picking a different shade.
Your questions, you're on YouTube, Brother Sew's YouTube, Facebook, and we can see them all, and I will make sure we go back and answer these. And I see Paula here says, if you don't back fabric, does it ravel? That's a big question, Paula, because it really depends on the fabric. But with this, what the fabric she's using, it would not, felt does not fray. Other fabrics do, but there's solutions that you could dip your fabric in to help prevent that. There's also, you know, you can use a little bit of starch, all kinds of things. So it really depends on the fabric.
Okay, so you see how I've got, it feels like, let's see, was it? No. Well, you're just being difficult today, screen. It wants to be a diva. So I left that heart right where it is. This is just an alternative to actually scanning the mat. If I leave that where it is and put something else next to it, I know that I'm fine to go ahead and cut, because that's the only thing that got cut out. So if you, for whatever reason, if you didn't feel like scanning at that moment, you could do that. Now what you're gonna see is it pulls in. I put a little bit of the tape right inside the heart, because this is going to be cutting so very close to that edge, and I don't want that edge to lift up. Oh, okay, see, so this time it didn't feel that it cut all the way through the first time, and that's pretty common for felt. So it's going back again because it doesn't think that it cut it all the way out.
Is that like one of those things you say, how do it know?
I know, I want to know, how do you know ScanNCut? So, and then again, I just go ahead and pop up.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
And you can see, because what I was saying, because I had cut that, I knew I would have a border here. And then I will do that if I'm getting a material that's heavier. I will go ahead and put some tape down here and there just to help stabilize, because these edges, you know, as it's moving around and these edges want to flip up and there's not as much surface. Here we go. And then the reason why you wouldn't put, like, so I've been asked, you know, okay, well, why don't you use like a spray adhesive or something else? Because this won't harm my mat at all. So when this comes off, this won't leave a residue on my mat. This won't cause any damage to my mat. It's just a temporary fix. And then what we're going to do, get rid of all that. And then I'm going to show you one more cut here. But first, I'm going to show you, and I'm actually not on that. I have another question that we get a lot, and I'll show you because I actually needed to do this right before the show and I didn't. If you have a damp, like a baby wipe, not an alcohol one, not the ones that we all have difficulty finding in the stores right now, just a baby wipe. And if you just kind of go all over it, you can see it's picking up like little lint and dust.
Dorothy, you must have read Dorothy's mind, because that's what she's asking about. How do you keep those mats sticky and looking good?
And you can really see, so I move it a lot. Like I do, it kind of depends on what's on the mat, but I'll move it a lot. As soon as I look at it and it looks a little dusty, I'll move it to a different spot, because I don't want to put that lint or dust or, oh, on a bad day, dog hair. I don't want any of that to get back on the mat. So I just kind of go around. You don't have to go in a circular motion. That's just because I don't know why. I just tend to do that. And I tend to go, I kind of try to go one direction and work towards an edge. And once you've done it, you won't see anything really, But you might notice, like I just noticed there's a little bit of paper stuck down here, so we don't want that. And this is gentle enough. If I ever have a piece of paper or something like that stuck to the mat, I'll put a little extra water and let the water set for a minute or two. And then we just need to set this aside and let it air dry. And then, of course, put the plastic cover back over it. And once it's dry, that's it. That's all you're gonna do. What we're gonna do, though, I'm gonna show you one more cut thing, and then I'm gonna show you some ideas with our felt pieces for decorating them. So, another way that I'm cutting felt and loving felt. Okay. So first of all, I went on a spree, Angela, and I've been embroidering. So this one says, and it's all wrinkly because everything has been all just like torn out of the machine and moving on. So this one says the force is strong with this one. This is one of the Star Wars designs.
Oh, and I love that. And
then this one is Elsa.
Oh, beautiful.
So these are just super, super fun. And I was on a tear. Sometimes it'll happen if I've got the machine set up for embroidery and I just go through and do a bunch of things, but then they all end up wrinkled in a pile, and then I end up circling back around at a later time. So that's what's been going on right now.
Welcome to my world.
But then sometimes I'm not in the mood to sit there for, sometimes I'm not in the mood to sit and watch something embroider for half an hour and babysit it. But then sometimes I just don't I'm not feeling very creative, or I don't know what to make next, or I'm low energy or something. Then I'll just sit at the machine and embroider and just watch the machine. So I feel like I'm being productive and it's kind of fun to do. So that's what this one is, the one we're going to do. So this is Star Wars. This is the Mandalorian symbol. And I don't quite know where I'm going with this, but we're going to cut this out. So this is funny because this actually had a very light, this is felt actually, and it actually had a very light tearaway stabilizer for the embroidery, which obviously I tore away as soon as the embroidering was done. But now what I have on here is adhesive. It's a fusible interfacing, so it's adhesive, and it looks like the very edge. So it's actually adhesive on both sides. So if I iron this to something else, it'll be adhesive. And I love that because, I like it easy. I like things to be a little easy sometimes. And what that will do for me is when I go to put this on, I don't know. If you guys have ideas, you'll have to share them. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something for my husband, but I'm not entirely sure what it is that I want to make here. But I'm thinking some kind of there it is. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out where I put that tape. Got it.
So a couple people are asking about that tape, and in case you missed it, she said she's had it for a little while. Do they sell that tape, or is that was just from one of our shows?
I want to say this is just from one of our shows. I want to say they should sell it though, shouldn't they? I want to say it's nice and wide. I want to say it was just from one of the shows, specifically to do exactly that's what we had it for, was specifically to do this.
And also, I see a couple people saying, can you use painter's tape? Can you use Scotch tape? I've used painter's tape. I've used Scotch tape. I've used medical tape. I'm only saying in France.
Painter's tape is about the same stickiness and very similar material. I use either this or painter's tape. That's what I always use. Scotch tape you can use, but I think the adhesive on it and the material of it, it's not that it's risky, but you could run the risk of it sticking or having a hard time getting it back off. It's also going to depend on what material you're using here, because like the painter's tape or the Scotch tape shouldn't either, but the painter's tape or this washi tape stuff, you shouldn't have any problems getting it back off. Right? And that's always important. If you use something like, say, shipping tape, it might be a little sticky, or if you use something that's maybe a little sticky.
I can tell you from experience, you don't want to do that.
No, that's why I always just know. I know for a fact, no matter what, painter's tape or masking tape or the washi tape, I know for a fact that those are fine. So I kind of try to keep that in mind.
I even know, I'm like looking back here at my floor after having the event with all the girls the last couple of weeks, with the pants class.
Yeah.
And we used shipping tape on the floor to hold cords down. First, Wynn wanted to use duct tape, but I'll never get no affiliation.
Oh, yeah.
But the shipping tape still makes it's like it's there. It doesn't come up.
Yeah.
So don't use it on your mat.
I've got this on here, and I'm thinking an oval is what I'm going to cut around it, because I feel like an oval will be, no matter what I do with this, I can do something with an oval. So sometimes when I've been on a tear and I've been embroidering, but I've also been, and I just passed the one I wanted. So if I've been on a tear, and I'm not going to size it here, and I've been embroidering a lot, then if I've done things on felt especially, I'll come in here and make patches. Oops, I went too far. Okay, so, and if that ever happens where you click OK one too many times and you get to the cut screen, you just hit the back button, super easy. So I'm gonna push this button and scan.
I still cannot believe how quiet that is. And the speaker's right there.
Yep. It's super quiet. Okay, so the only thing that's going to happen is, and we're going to have to use our outline here, because it's black fabric, it's going to be a little trickier to see. But we're going to go into edit and object edit, because we can tell, even without clearly seeing, we can tell that, and actually, let me see. Yeah, for you guys, actually, now because it's black fabric, down more works. But we can
see it great. You should use that fabric every time.
Always use black fabric. Yeah. So I'm going to actually first, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees, because then it'll be closer to the size I want. And then that's why I didn't size it before, because I wasn't exactly sure what size I wanted. Okay. Maybe a little bigger, because I would rather have it a little bigger, since I'm not entirely sure what I'm putting this on. And then I'm just
a good idea for you. Does your husband golf, May?
No.
Okay, forget that one, Carolyn.
Oh, what was no golfing, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I just don't know what I'm going to do with this. So I can make this as big or as small as I want. And then once I'm done, and once I'm saying, okay, well, we're good now, let's cut that. See, you can see, oh, now I have to pull it up so that you can see the oval. And then if I go back, I can see it, and it's pretty nicely centered. So we're going to go ahead and cut.
So Lynn,
all of this,
she is. She's scanning with the cutting pad. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, I always use, it's my cutting mat for everything, basically. And you can scan that right on there, which is nice, because you don't want to move the material and then have it, what you're seeing not match up.
Yvette,
okay,
yes,
so
you can. You can cut felt. Yes, you can. And Ellen, yes, you can. You can send an applique pattern from the Luminaire to the ScanNCut. Yes, you can, and turn it into an applique. Well, you turn it into an applique before it gets to your ScanNCut.
Alrighty. And this is always a personal favorite. Oh, it's so fun. Okay, so I'm going to scoot you out of the way there.
Ooh. Oh, that looks fantastic.
And if for some reason I changed my mind or I wanted it smaller, I can tape this down onto my mat and cut even further if I wanted to. But it's so much easier than me cutting, trying to figure out and cut felt. And you can, if you use an adhesive backing, you could iron this on as a patch.
That's a great idea. Jen just said if your husband carries anything to work, maybe it could be glued or sewed to his jacket.
Yep, and I can iron this. I could iron this on, but to me, I feel like it's never quite stable enough if it's something that's going to be out and like bumping into stuff. So I always stitch it on too. But yeah, it's all.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
Fancy. All fancy. I don't have a sewing machine that can go back and forth. like the Luminaire. That's such a fun machine. I don't have that one, but this, even, you can still do that, or you could do, like, if I did hand embroidery on this and then I wanted to cut it out, I would just definitely tape this down, because there's going to be like knots and thread on the back that's going to kind of lift it up a little bit. So we're not going to, we're going to want to be extra stable there.
So she's using, which you can go back and watch this from the beginning, but she's using a sticky back embroidery stabilizer on the back.
On this one, though, this is just fusible interfacing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I missed that.
This one's fusible interfacing, but when we did, where'd it go? There it is. When we did this one here with the drawing, this is a sticky back for specifically for embroidery.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. She's like, thank you.
Yeah, lots of fun. So then to get to like this, what we would do, let's see, there it is. There's just so much fun going on. This is my favorite time of year to craft. It just is. There's just so many projects to be done and fun things.
A lot of very cute things. While she's digging around, I'm just reading the rest of your comments. And so thank you guys, by the way. Thank you. I've only had this in my ready to sew. So you're in the crafting mode, and I'm into the what I call my ruche tea mode, where I can make one shirt a day. I'm low on tops to wear under sweaters. The season's changing, and so this is today. I've got things cut out for every day this week, so we'll just have to see what happens there.
Well, that's fun.
I should just cut it on the ScanNCut. That'd make it so much easier, right? They do have the long
nice.
I have not tried cutting knits though on it at this point, but I have cut denim and some other things like that with the ScanNCut. So skirts are an easy one to do. So it's not just for crafting.
You can do a lot of things. I just have embroidery floss. We just have to pull it apart a little bit here. I mean, I guess you can stitch with all of it, but I don't think I ever do. It gets really, really, really thick if you're doing all of the threads.
Yeah.
And this is always just my least favorite part, pulling the thread apart.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, everyone. Okay, okay, here's the full, it's the ruche tee, except I didn't ruche it.
It's so cute.
It was going to be leggings. I told May that when I first logged in today. I was going to be leggings, and then I was a little tired this morning, and I cut the piece too short, so it became a shirt. Or I guess it could have been really short leggings, but I like it as a shirt.
Okay, so when we're doing, at least for me, when I'm doing hand embroidery, it depends. If I'm being fancy, you can do your stitch and like fold the thread under the stitch and be, to get it way more flat, right? So you could stitch and then you just kind of like stitch over the top of the tail so that it's not going to come unraveled, but I'm not feeling that coordinated. Angela, as we were saying, I've been up since very, very early this morning.
Yeah, man, we must have had the same gremlin wake us up or something.
I know, so I'm not feeling that coordinated. And if I'm not, then I just tie a little knot in the end. We do want to take the paper off because this particular one, this is an iron-on fusible webbing. So we don't want to leave this paper on. That we don't need to for any reason. I'm just going to do a couple stitches while we chat, and if there's any questions, that's always great too. So you can go and do whatever stitch you want. This gets really, I think it gets really addictive because there's so many fun stitches that you can do. And if we're doing, one of the things I like about felt is it's forgiving. So it's forgiving. So if I go and poke a hole and I change my mind and I go, whoops, oh, I didn't mean there, I mean over here a little bit more, it'll let me do that. And this, I'm just doing a back stitch so we can get a nice little line going. I like to start with just something, right? I just kind of do, what am I going to start with for this embellishment? And the really fun thing for me is I can sit here and do this with felt. I don't actually have to hoop it, right? I don't actually have to put it in a hoop to do the stitching. I can just stitch the piece of felt because, especially with any kind of stabilizer on them, it's just so, or interfacing or something, it's so stable. I can just sit here and hold this and stitch. So if I have to go wait in the car for, I don't know, for the kids for a pickup of some kind, or if I want to just sit in the living room and stitch something, I can. And then once you're done with whatever it is that you've stitched, you're totally welcome to put this on. I mean, I've put these on like a paper collage canvas. I put these in my scrapbook. I've done them onto cards. I just got myself in a little tangle, not bad. But you can put them on anything.
Great idea, though, and it's so cute.
And it's, you know what? I think it's really fun, and especially in the we can get pretty stressed out these days. So it's such, to me at least, it's a very calming, soothing. We're just stitching.
I do it in your face too, because so they can see who's actually sewing. I'm not doing the sewing; she is. So I'm reading all of your guys' comments. So there's a few comments that I don't know the answer to. So if I didn't answer,
sure,
I will look it up for you. But I'm pretty sure the answer to this is no. But do you know, by the way, when we're working with a design from the Luminaire to the machine, to the ScanNCut, I don't believe it reads other embroidery machine files, other brands. Is it just Brother, right?
It's the PES file, right?
Yeah. And
isn't that proprietary?
Yes, and now it also reads the Luminaire file. So I'll double check for you, but I'm almost positive it's just Brother. But here's the thing.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I saw somebody asking about how do you scan in for patterns? Like when I just said I cut a skirt out of the ScanNCut. So I did not use tissue paper, but you could use tissue paper on there. You would have to be a little careful though, because if the mat's too sticky, it would come off. So I usually trace, well, my patterns are a little stiffer paper, but if you don't have that, you could trace it onto just shipping paper. We're talking about shipping tape, shipping paper. And if you trace it, so you have an outline with a nice pen mark, scan it in, and you can turn that into a cut file. And that's what I did for my skirt. I also scanned in my fabric into the ScanNCut and did little cutouts because you can see the fabric on there. So I actually cut the skirt out first, put the fabric on the fabric mat, scanned it in, and then did the little cutouts. So it almost looked like a reverse applique, which is very cute.
That would be cute. And I know I have a bunch of paper grocery store bags right now because this year, normally we use reusable ones, but they weren't letting us.
Yeah, they're still not letting us either. I've got a whole stack of them.
Well, ours is funny. It depends on the store. The one store does not allow them still and gives you bags, and then the other store says, no, it's fine. So I have a pile of them though, and those are always so great to cut patterns or, you know, whatever you need to do. Or actually, I was eyeballing them and thinking, well, I'm not buying any Christmas wrap this year. I'm just gonna go and use that. I'm gonna use all those bags.
That's a good idea. Cut them all up.
Yeah, why not? So yeah, when you get this is why I said we're not gonna do a whole show on, you know, the hand embroidery, because by the time it takes time. It does. I mean, there's just no way around the hand embroidery, or even machine embroidery takes some time, just less of you sewing. But you can see how on this, and by the way, if you guys want to know exactly how I did this, the video for this actually goes up tomorrow. You guys are getting the first peek.
Wonderful. Will that be on your YouTube page or the Brother YouTube page?
It'll be on mine, and on my Facebook, on the Craft with May Facebook, there will be a post. The minute it goes up, there will be a post with a link right to it. But you can see how all the different stitches and all the different colors come into play. And then you can you can start adding funky stuff too. Like I added all kinds of beads on here. I added little buttons on here. And the only thing about, if you're gonna then, and this is always, I love it when I get a good formula for sewing, because I get very confused easily when it comes to, and I know you'll understand what I mean, Angela, the parts, how you have to do this part of, you have to prepare stuff, right? You have to do things in a certain order so that the finished product looks appropriate. And sometimes I get very confused with some of that. Like I'll get frustrated with myself. So I like to do, especially if I haven't been sewing in a while, I'll start like, well, if I can get a warm up, and the way that like a little zipper bag, I can do all of this on the front piece of the fabric and center it and know that that's where it's going to be. And then after I sew everything all up, it's all contained. So it's not showing, it's not the backside. The messy stuff is all hidden away.
That's a good thing.
Yes, but that's one of those things where you just have to think about if you're going to be doing any hand embroidery or any like these felt embellishments. That this is what I've been doing, guys. I've just been like, I'll make different felt embellishments and then I'll figure out what I want to do with them. Or, you know, if I want to build it onto fabric, do I want to take it onto paper? I've done these for my friends on homemade cards and just tacked it down with very lightly with a dry adhesive, because then they can pop it off and use it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Then it doesn't just go away.
Right.
So do you guys have any questions for May while she's finishing up her little heart here? May, I hate to tell you this, but if you wonder why I keep getting up and down, right when we went live, I was putting together a chair. It's one of those like exercise ones but every time I sit on it, I feel like I'm going to move. So if I fall over, full disclosure, so much for ergonomics, right?
Oh, I know.
So do you guys have any questions for May? This was such a great tutorial, May. So next month, we're going to be getting close to Thanksgiving. Are you going to be working on anything exciting for that?
You know what? I actually have our next month's show stuff all set.
Really? Can you give us a teaser?
Shall we? So we are going to work with vinyl and we are going to make ornaments.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And they're going to be multi-use. So you could use them on your own tree or in your own decor. You could make them into like little gift toppers. So you could put it on top of a gift if you wanted. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And actually there's a dozen upstairs. We filmed down here, but upstairs in my craft area, there's a dozen because I've been having so much fun making them and I can't stop making them. So I have all the ornaments ready to go.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is going to be very exciting. So this is a great tutorial to get started for that. And then we'll have the Thanksgiving one. And I can see you all saying ornaments. Yay, Arnell says. Definitely. Oh, Kelly, glad you made it. So if any of you have questions, someone asked how you could message, I think Sophie asked if you could message me. Just message me on Facebook. That's fine. Or you can go to my website, which I have both of our websites down below. And there's an email link there where you could send a message too. And then I saw a couple people say that, do I have this fabric? I do. It's on my website. There's a little bit left. A little. I think I'm going to take another piece for a long sleeve shirt, but I don't know. May I have to come up with something creative to wear for our next show? Maybe something I do on the ScanNCut.
I know there's so many. We have so many options. It's so much fun. I'm never running out of ideas. And even when I think like the other day when I started up with all my felt stuff, it was about a week ago. I started up with all the felt came out. It has to get cold enough that in the morning I can enjoy hot coffee. Because here where I live in California, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the time when it's not like, oh, hot coffee. It's 85 degrees outside. I don't want hot coffee. So I wait. As soon as it turns though, as soon as it's just cool enough in the air where, it's nice and cool and it's enjoyable to have a hot cup of coffee, then all of a sudden all the felt comes out. All the felt, all the Christmas crafting, it all comes tumbling out, and then all of a sudden I'm in one of these frenzies where I've got so many projects. I don't know. I will finish them all eventually, but they all just like all of a sudden explode and I have a pile of things in progress. But this one, when I finish this heart, I'll be sure to post a picture on my social media of what it looks like when I'm all finished with it and what I'm doing with it there. Because they're just it's just so much fun to play with. And I also like that I don't have to have a finished project in mind. So if you're feeling kind of like low on inspiration and you want to craft or you want to make something, but you're not quite sure what it might be, I very strongly recommend hand stitching and felt and just playing with it. And then when it's done, see what you think, see what you feel like doing with it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I see a couple more comments here. Oh, Ellen, she wanted to know what's the model of the new ScanNCut that cuts fabric. They all cut fabric, but the new one has the fabric mat. So that's the only difference, but they all cut fabric. What is the model of the new one? 230 DX?
That's the Disney.
The Disney, but it's like the Disney, it's a little bit different than last year. So there's like 30, I should know this by heart. I said it like a gazillion times, but it's the Disney machine. And you can visit a Brother dealer for that too. And they always have great packages. I saw someone asked one more question. Oh, Arnell, it should be on the website. It's called a weave, but you can message me. Hot coffee's good anytime, Kelly says. Tony wants to know the date for ornaments. So Tony, we don't have her and I usually decide the date right when we hang up here. But if you go to the Brothers Sews Facebook page, they have an event. If you click under events, it has every single live show scheduled all out in advance, and you can put in there for a reminder when it goes live. So you might want to do that because we are on every Tuesday and every Thursday usually. And then there's other brand ambassadors that do shows that's added to the page. So there's a lot of great things on there if you're trying to learn something. And then don't forget to go to May's page and my page because we both have our own YouTube channels too. So we're trying to give you content all over the map. And May has an excellent Instagram. Look right above.
Oh, thank you. I always have so much fun. I always have so much fun sharing pictures.
It's so pretty.
Things.
All right, I think I got everybody's question. If I missed one, I apologize. I was trying to watch the whole time, but everybody's saying they love their ScanNCut. So May, thank you for such a great tutorial. And Brother Sewing and Crafting family, would you like to know the schedule for the week? So today is Tuesday, right? May. Yeah, I think so. It feels like about midnight right now, but it is Tuesday. And so this afternoon at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have this down by heart now, Cindy Hogan will be showing some software, her software shut-in. And tomorrow, Wednesday, I have a live show at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Angela Wolf page. And we're going to be doing our Linda Tunic sew-along. Might have to come up with something for the ScanNCut for that with embroidery. Right now, I'm embroidering my sleeves. And then Thursday at noon, we have two educators coming in, brother educators that are going to great tutorials on the Luminaire. And I think they're using the ScanNCut on that one too. I can't remember. But if you go to the events page, it's in there. And then Emily has a live show that's shared on here on Wednesday too. So anything special besides tomorrow, you've got something coming on your page, May?
I do. So tomorrow, my video about making the felt piece for this goes up. And it's focused on the felt part, not on the zipper pouch. That'll be a different video because my video was getting too darn long. But that'll go up. And yeah, over on Craft with May, Instagram or Facebook, whatever you prefer. There you'll find I always post about every time I have new videos and new stuff going, especially for the ScanNCut, I'm always posting about that. And Marcia, there will be a snowflake ornament because that's one of my favorites.
I saw that. And so this isn't a brand from Brother, but Marcia wants to know how you get any of that like sticky stuff off your mat. Any tips for that without mentioning the brand? If there's something on your mat that shouldn't be there? Yeah, I think she's talking about like maybe if you had your backing that you just had, that you accidentally had that paper off and it got sticky on there.
So you would want to have, like if I have paper or something that that's stuck on there, I'll put a little bit of like a little puddle of water. And I'll leave it there for a couple of minutes to soak. And then I come back through with that same baby wipe and just gently take any debris off. The thing is, you want to be the more stuck it is, the more gentle. Because if you try to get rough with it or you try to get in there with like a little scraper or something and scrape it, unless it will pop right off with this is a tool from Brother. And it's just plastic.
I love that tool.
If it won't scrape right off, if just gently scraping with this won't take it off. And if you put this against your hand, it doesn't hurt. It's very, very gentle. If that won't remove, like if it was paper, a lot of times it'll just go flying. I do that all the time where little paper pieces go woo and go flying off like that. If it won't pop right off, then you need to soak it a bit and help it along. Because if you go and try to have more force, what will happen is you will remove the adhesive from the mat.
That sounds good. And that's definitely, Judy, thank you. SDX230DX. I had it right. I couldn't remember there was an extra letter at the end. And Velvet, May, her website's right below here, mayflaum.com. You can see it right on the screen there. Oh, Marcia's talking about iron-on stuff. That'd be about the same though, what you just said.
Yeah, it would be the same, no matter what it is on your mat, whatever it is on your mat, whether it's, because if it's iron-on, it wouldn't be the raw iron-on, it would be the tissue paper stuff. And usually it's kind of waxy. That's one of the reasons I really like it, because it's kind of waxy. It's very rare that any part of it, if it did, what would generally happen is somehow there was like a tear, so that there's like a little torn piece that kind of tore off and stuck. But generally speaking, because it has a little bit of waxiness to it, it will slide right off. But if it didn't, same thing. Give it a soak.
So, Dorothy, this is a twofer question. So yes, she's asking, so you don't actually put your material on the sticky mat, so you use a backing. You can use either.
It depends on what I'm cutting, what am I cutting, and where am I going with it. You know, like the stuff that I'm doing here, I want to iron these onto something else. So it makes sense to go ahead and have that stabilizer backing that's going to become a part of my project down the road. It makes sense to have it on there. So there's plenty of times though, if I'm cutting a simple shape out of felt or fabric and I am going to use it in a way that I definitely don't want anything on the back, then I can just put it onto the mat. There's just, for me, a lot of times it'll help. Depending on what I'm doing, a lot of times it helps make sure that I get a really crisp cut. And a lot of times it helps me after it's cut to the next stage, because I certainly don't want to have to hand cut stabilizer or interfacing or something. I don't want to have to hand cut it if I could have let the ScanNCut cut it all together for me.
Yeah, I agree. And Pam, I see you on your ScanNCut still in the box. You're not the only one. There was a couple people today that said it's in the box, but don't be afraid. So go to May's. May has a ton of YouTube videos. Brother So, we've been showing nonstop videos on how to use the ScanNCut. So just go watch one of the YouTube channels and do a little binge watching on that. And I think that you'll feel comfortable. Once you get started, you're gonna just be like, why did I leave this in the box so long?
And Pam, you can always message me. I chat with people every week about different, and I'm happy to direct you to, I have some videos that are literally, okay, it's out of the box. What do I do? I have some videos that start from there too. So I'm always happy to direct you to, you can always message me too.
Perfect. All right, May, this was an awesome show. And I'm just making sure I didn't. Oh, yes, I see you, Judy. Thank you for mentioning that. Everybody's saying yes, love that. So this was awesome. It's so nice to see you as always. And I can hardly wait to see you next month for these ornaments. I'm going to be all ready for that. And everyone, you can always leave messages. You can message May or myself. Brother So's, thank you for letting the brand ambassador take over your page again. This is our favorite thing to do. And if you ever have something that you want us to show, you can always leave a note, because we're always looking for ideas too. So May, thanks for an awesome tutorial. And Brother Sewing, Pam says, how do I message you? Probably go to your website, maybe?
You can do it in any number of ways. If you go to Craft with May on Instagram or Facebook, there's a little thing right there that says message.
Yeah, look up her Instagram is right up above. Yes. All right, so I guess hope you have a good afternoon, May.
You guys too. Thanks for coming, everybody. These are always so much fun.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.